Well, Chris, thanks so much for your time today, and big congrats on Jericho Ridge. How excited are you guys to be at Glasgow Film Festival showing this movie?
Yeah, me very, very excited. Yeah, it's sort of I think this is essentially our UK premiere. It's the first time I've been to the Glasgow Film Festival. It won't be the last, but I've worked here a couple of times. Did some editing up here. I worked on a film up here years ago. So I've come up here quite a bit, but just not for a while. Very excited. I want to try and squeeze in as many films as I can watch. And then we've got 2 screenings at Jericho Ridge tonight and tomorrow. So, but yeah, it's just trying to, as usual, everything's programmed that you want to see against your film. So, do you know what I mean? There's a couple of things I really want to watch, but they're playing at the same time, which is, life.
Yeah, not enough time in a day.
I mean, Glaswegian audiences are at the same time the most passionate and the hardest to please. We're very vocal about what we like and don't like, and so there's no better place to try it out.
This is quite stressing me out. He said this once already. He says Glaswegians are quite dry, and they're not shy about telling you what they think. So it's quite a terrifying thought. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
Will you guys be staying for the screening, or will you kind of duck away when it starts? Are you nervous when you're showing a movie at a festival?
I'll definitely be watching it. I sort of thought when I first made the film, I thought ideal world, write the film, make the film, edit the film, put it on the shelf, no one ever watches it, and then we do another one. I just couldn't imagine the pressure of having to watch it with an audience. So the first time I did was in Galway last year, and the sort of first 5 minutes, just trying to melt into my seat. But then the audience they're into it, and I started to sit up again, and I really, really, really enjoyed the process. And we've done a few festivals now, and sitting there watching it with the different audiences, the genre audience is going to completely react differently than like a sort of more drama focused festival. But honestly, I found I've really learned as a filmmaker, like especially with a film like this, which is super tense. It's like a pressure cooker. Like watching people are so ready to laugh, or they'll laugh at almost things I didn't really realize that was a joke. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm definitely learning something just from watching the audience. So I do stay in and watch it every time, which means I've watched this film altogether too many times. But I'm loving it. It's great.
I'll stay and watch it. I watched it too at Galway, and I was astonished at the kind of value that they managed to get from the kind of quality versus budget curve. It's right. It's as high as it's ever been in anything I've done, I think. I was astonished when I saw it. So I'll stay and watch it again.
And for you, Will, you write and direct. Where did the idea come from? How much of an influence has films like Assault on Precinct 13 been on you?
Yeah, like totally. I get, so I just wanted to really just try and develop, first time out the gate as a filmmaker, I wanted to, a filmmaker control as much as possible, and spend, because obviously like budgets are compressed, schedules are compressed. I just wanted to be able to shoot the film as well as possible. So minimizing locations makes that a lot easier, but also trying to keep it interesting without, 2 people talking in a room for 90 minutes, which can be good, but it's a lot harder. So yeah, that was sort of baked into the premise. I was really conscious of that from the outset, trying to do all that. Yeah. I love Assault on Precinct 13. It's one of my faves, but it's one of the things I deliberately sort of tried not, as I started writing this and developing this, I've sort of stayed away from it. I didn't want to like be subconsciously pulling too much from it. But you can't shoot a film with a siege of a police station without obviously invoking that, and even Assault on Precinct 13 is a sort of loose remake of Rio Bravo, which I just picked up and watched for the first time, which is really cool. But John Carpenter does a commentary on the Rio Bravo. He's that much a fan of that movie. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so it was, it's definitely an influence. But we're trying not to make the same film again. But you know what I mean? Yeah.
For you, Chris, how are you enjoying being back in Glasgow, and what was it about this character that made you say yes to the movie?
The character's he's a great supporting role, and the cast that I'm supporting are fantastic as well, and the crew that I'm supporting is fantastic, and the producers and the people and the filmmakers were fantastic. I had to audition for the job. It wasn't just a straight offer. I was coming out of COVID and coming out of lockdown and I'd heard about the film before that. I'd heard about the film, I think, about 2 years ago when it was supposed to be shooting in Canada. But I really fancied it. I can't say anything more than that. And so I auditioned along with everybody else, and I arrived and I put my shoulder to the wheel and did the best I could. And I enjoyed that process. I enjoyed being part of a real creative filmmaking process.
I'm just also, when I saw Chris's audition, I'm a massive fan of Guy Ritchie's Wrath of Man. I just think it's I've told some, like, I don't think it got the love it deserved. I'm just think it's a really, really cool LA crime movie, and so much so that we tempt like the Wrath of Man score to most of this film. And then one of our producers was just like, well, why don't we reach out to Chris Benstead, who scored that? He scored The Gentleman. He basically scores all Guy Ritchie's films now, and he came on board and did the music, which I think is fantastic. So yeah, it's another Wrath of Man connection.
You also mentioned, the pandemic. You guys were originally meant to be shooting in Canada. It moved to Kosovo. Yep. Some great landscapes, some great shots. Was that a blessing in disguise in many ways?
Yes, totally. And for a few reasons. Firstly, was the days. We got a lot more time, and we got like 5-6 more days than we would have had in Canada. In Canada, the amount of days we'd have had, it would have been a compromise. And we also got to build, we're in one location for the whole shoot. In Canada, we got to build our sheriff's office from the ground up, which was so helpful because, we were going to adapt to an existing structure in Canada. We found a petrol station, it was super cool, but it was a good hour's drive from where I'm going to be staying. And you're in a petrol station, it's never going to be quite as big as you want, you're never going to be as high as you want. So that was really, really beneficial. I honestly couldn't have been happier to end up there. I think we're like the first international film feature to ever shoot in Kosovo. So it was really fun. Some really good people out there as well. Really good crew.
Fantastic people, very keen,
very friendly as well.
Very friendly,
great food, just an awesome country. We went back from Pristina, the festival last summer, which was just being there when it's not cold was just an absolute joy as well. Because obviously you've seen the snow. I mean, this one was this is pretty gnarly, freezing temperatures, night shoots, sort of stuff.
With that sort of change for you guys, did it have an impact on the screenplay? Did you have to, make adjustments to fit in the fact it's now going to be in a different location? And
I mean, the only thing we had one scene in the opening, near the opening, and we just couldn't really find a location that worked for it. And this is the only time we've been in the scene, and we never shot it. Which I think was a blessing in disguise, because we would have spent a day shooting it, and then the opening 20, we just kept trying to get into the film as quickly as possible, and that would have just delayed that. So that was a blessing in disguise as well, I think. No, we found everything we wanted, even to the point where the lead character Tabby, played by Nikki Amuka-Bird, the house she comes out of in the beginning is literally an American house. An Albanian guy who's an American, he was like, "I love your house," to someone. It's like, "Give me the plans, I want to rebuild this in Kosovo," and it was just there. So it was great.
What is it, do you think, seems to be the appeal of kind of small town Americana, kind of local police, that's covered quite a lot in film and TV?
For me, it was always the size of America. I wanted backup to realistically be a distance away, and sort of researching this, I would read stories about sheriff's deputies. A guy would get in a gunfight and he'd be hiding behind a car, and he had to radio for backup, and the backup had to wake up, get out of bed, and drive 30 minutes and come and help him. And I just thought that's so absurd. In England, it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it's there. It just doesn't work. And for me, it's kind of the isolation really worked for this, But that's what
it's a place that forces you to get yourself out of trouble in a lot of ways.
Exactly. Yeah. She has to, great. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, she has to dig herself out. Yeah.
And what was like working with Nikki, Chris? She's great in this, and carries much of the movie.
Nikki really gets it. So again, working in support of someone who is so intelligent in what she delivers and creates and offers up to the camera, and so kind of mutually collaborative as well in terms of what she's willing to accept from yourself. She was a joy to support.
She's incredible. She's fantastic to work with, and like we do like sort of 6-7 page runs of dialogue, and obviously a lot of the stuff is her on the phone, her on the radio, and obviously we don't have the actors to do that, so I'd have to read in with her for most of that, and I'm crap. And I'm having to do like 3 or 4 different accents.
You're not that crap.
I'm fucking terrible. But like so I'm having to do 3 or 4 different accents, and she's able to act, ignore me, and then we record and we put the voices on and it's incredible. So like that's being able to ignore my low quality acting was another plus point for her.
Well, maybe I need to take that back, because I thought it was all what we were giving Nikki that was allowing her to, but obviously she's just great anyway, so it wouldn't matter, it wouldn't make any difference.
And I love the feeling of, I suppose, claustrophobia, that you're able to create. How tricky was it to, I suppose, try and get that feeling across to
well, yeah, we were just, I suppose we're trying to create something like this. You're trying to create a pressure cooker. It's just you constant ramping up tension, constant ramping up stakes. I guess, yeah, it's it's in the script, it's in the performances, it's in the way it's shot, but it's also like a really vital part of that is the editing by Sarah Pajek is fantastic, and the score by Chris Benstead as well. It just really ramps that up. So it's everyone working together, but it's something it's something we're really aiming for, and hopefully we achieve some of that.
What was really clear when you got there, that everybody was on the same track, from the DOP Rory to Will and the rest of the gang and the crew and the actors. Everybody was doing their homework, turning up, knew their job, and was just pushing in the same direction. Everybody got it right away, and I think that's so important when you're trying to put as much value on screen as possible.
Just one final question. What are some of the highlights from the shoot? Did you guys have the luxury time to try and have a bit of fun and relax?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I went to my fair share of Kosovo house parties that went on pretty late with some fairly crazy people. We were awesome. So yeah, but we had a really good time there. It's a very welcoming culture. They're really friendly. They're really keen to have people coming there with some things like films, investing in their country, investing in their talent. So it's just a very friendly, felt very welcoming, and you just had a really good time. And we got lucky with our cast and crew, I think, genuinely, because there's no guarantee that everyone's going to be on the same page, everyone's going to be fun to work with, and everyone's going to be fun to work with in the middle of the night after 10 days of night shoots in -12 cold. But they really were. We had a good time. Great bunch of people.
Yeah, fabulous experience. Go film in Kosovo. Well, don't actually, because these guys probably want to do it again. So don't try that. Keep it a secret.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. Best luck with the films releasing screening tonight at Glasgow Film Festival.
Aye, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys.
Hey, you guys.